How are we going? All right. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. So you should be able to hear me. Sound should be good. Picture should be good. And welcome. So thank you very much for joining me. Okay. So what I want to do tonight is remember we're going to create a short list of markets to keep an eye on this week. We're going to be looking for markets with a very clear sense of direction. And also, if there's any markets where we might have to watch because the direction will only become clear during the week. Right. Very much same, same. Very nice to hear from you, Daniel. So yeah, welcome everyone. And cool. Okay. So first of all, so I'm going to mix up the charts. We're going to run through two different types of charts today. We're going to do the Wave Rider and we're going to do a chart without all the indicators because what I want you to do is I want to, it's good for your brain to look at price action, the same price action, but from different angles to develop your price action, underlying price action reading skills. Okay, so remember that our goal here is to find markets that are moving. So a market that is moving is, first of all, statistically higher probability of winning, potentially more profit, more predictable, because if it's range bound, it could just do anything. We don't really know what it's going to do. It depends on the conditions. So we're looking for stuff with a much that should statistically be safer to trade, higher probability of going in one direction over another. So when I start off on the left-hand side, we'll start off with the US indices. So very quickly, what I'll do is you can see here that if we look through this, we've got a support resistance level. We've had a really nice resistance level. The trend is up, price is broken, pulled back, and has produced a swing low here. So this should then be, the trend should maintain itself. We can also see here that we have high lows and higher highs. The MACD is looking nice and bullish. So I love this new pen. I've never used this stuff. I clearly don't use all the tools that are available to us. So that means that this is potentially a buy position. So one of the ways in which traders would trade that, entry above the high, stop loss below the low, and targeting 3 to 1. Okay. Now let's have a look at the exact same chart through the Wave Rider. Okay, so go in, bring in Wave Rider, look at Wave Rider, the same chart. Let's have a look and see. Okay, so we're still waiting for it to update. I've hidden the black monthly pivot just to keep the chart a little bit cleaner. And here you can see you've got the channel angling up. You've got nice green daily pivot. We're above the blue 20 moving period. It's usually that. Let me just double check. It is the 10 moving period, I beg your pardon. And so we've got bullish signals over here. Okay, so what does that mean to me? It means that US 30 looking good. Basically, anything that I put into the list today is for your consideration. I'm not instructing you to trade. I'm saying to you that these are things that I would look at for trade entries. Now you know how to trade the Wave Rider. You know how to do that, but also here the stop loss below this makes sense. We've also got a weekly pivot here as well. So putting our stop loss below that gives us that extra additional layer of stop loss protection. So US looking nice. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just type in, for example, US bullish. Okay, so bullish, so that means it's on the list because I quite like what it's going to do. I'm also going to just create a list and then I'll re-drop it in at the end. Okay, so we'll just do US 30. Drop it in. So let's go back. Let's have a look at the others. So what's going on with the S&P 500? So the S&P 500 has broken the low here. So why is this significant? When we break the low here, the trend, that means that this trend that goes up here has been broken. So we're now, for example, are potentially looking at a weekly retracement. Okay, so we go have a look at the weekly. What's going on with the weekly? The weekly is potentially coming back down towards the 10-period moving average. Okay, so we're looking for something similar to this to occur over here. Possibly as well, because that's a nice area of previous resistance where we could find support and this could head high. I love this drawing tool. Very cool. Okay, so does that make sense to you guys? MACD is also trending higher, so all of this is looking good. The trend is generally nice and bullish. So let's start by assuming we're going to get a bit of a deeper retracement here. So for the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, we're looking for a deeper correction. We're looking for something to potentially form in this area. We're looking for something to form here, possibly in the coming week. Don't forget, of course, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we have non-farm payroll. So we've got lots of high impact news this week, but essentially non-farm payroll on Friday, which means that we could see the week turn around by the end of Friday if we don't see it before then. Just something to be aware of. Okay, so let's have a look at those same ones. Let's have a look at, for example, the S&P on this, just to see how different it looks. And you can see here, it's telling you not to look for any positions at this time. Okay, so we're doing both. Is this working for you? Should I keep going like this so I could show you without the wave rider, with the wave rider, so you can understand the process behind it? Give me some feedback on that, guys. Okay, so we're looking at the cool. So what I like about this, first of all, we're in a bull market. Okay, I shouldn't have to explain. I don't mean this in a mean way. I'm saying I think I've explained it multiple times over and over again. We are in a bull market, which means that we're still going to get our retracements. We'll still get weekly retracements. We'll still get monthly retracements. But what we shouldn't get is a monthly downtrend, just a retracement. And bull markets can last for years. So we are in a brand new bull market that started at the beginning of last year, which could last 5, 6, 7, 8, even maybe as long as 15 years. But the point is we're in a bull market for now. So this means that we can sort of rest easy that to some degree, most of the really nice indices should continue up, but we might be getting, the only tricky part is, are we getting a daily retracement or a weekly retracement or a monthly retracement, generally speaking. So looking at the FTSE 100, it looks nice and bullish. I like the look of that. And also we've broken through major levels of resistance, and we've broken through here. Very nice break and a retest. Most importantly, though, is the look of this really nice bullish engulfing candle after all of this consolidation. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So one way to do this is potentially an entry above the high, stop loss below the low, trading it to the upside. That's on a weekly side. That's on a weekly basis, but that looks really nice. I like the look of that. Alternatively, what I could do is look for a break and a retest to kind of identify that level of resistance, and then look on the daily for a little bit of a break and a retest to go a little bit higher. Okay, so that could work as well. Or entry above the high there, stop loss below the low here, targeting 3 to 1. So it could come back in the range, but I don't think it's going to. But yeah, I would have a look at possibly that type of consideration, and that makes a 3 to 1 much more likely there. That being said, let's compare it. Let's go look at this on the Wave Rider. All right, takes a bit longer, doesn't it? Could just be me. Okay, so here we go. We've got downward red channel here. So this is basically definitely not a buy position. Big part of that is because we're potentially not above that monthly pivot. So this is not looking at a buy opportunity there. So I would say to you that if that is the case, then I would, if you prefer to not trade this, if you have concerns or you do like the idea of the trade idea, then you would possibly reduce your risk on it if you want to take it. The Wave Rider is incredibly reliable. It's very reliable. It is the best indicator trade setup I've ever seen because of the filters that work very well. So if you decide you want to engage in this, it's because it is possibly but then don't put it on the Wave Rider. Then it's not a Wave Rider idea. Okay. So I'm just going to say we'll put this into the list. I'll drop the whole list in at the end. UK 100, also bullish, but not Wave Rider. All right. So let's move on, because I don't want to take very long. I want to try to do this relatively quickly. So consolidation happening here as well. And and a long level of resistance. So let's just leave this for now, waiting for that to break through. This is interesting because this in its own way is a type of bull flag. Okay, that's a bull flag. Basic pattern, basically price goes up, consolidates, and then breaks up. So that is essentially what that is, which means that a break above this high would be an entry signal, a break above that high, and you would get possibly a stop loss somewhere on that. It's a weekly time frame, so I would look at the lower time frames, and it would be a break above that. Now, that's only if you are very, very desperate to get in. Otherwise, you could just leave this. But effectively, the idea is that you would have that is your resistance level. When you start to break through that, or you break above that high, you would then start to go long. So that's just a thought. You could put it on your list, but it might not even happen this coming week. It might only happen the week after. Next up, Aussie 200. This is, to me, is a no-brainer in many ways. It's a beautiful break and a resistance. There's actually a couple of different levels of resistance there, but it's a beautiful break and a retest and a beautiful swing low. So to me, this represents a very nice possible entry opportunity, okay, as well. So let's have a look and compare that to the Wave Rider. I like the look of that one, so let's check that one out on the Wave Rider. And while that's happening, I'm gonna put that in on the AUS. What I'll do is just put in Germany 30, which is actually Germany 40 now, just saying, just Germany 40, bull flag. Hey, yeah, that's fine. Bull flag, Oz 200. Also bullish. Okay, there we go, bullish. So if I unless it's bull flag, not Wave Rider. Okay, cool. Cool. Let's carry on. Let's have a look at the Nikkei. So Nikkei's had a very strong retracement. So when you see a situation like this, if you're not sure what's going on, go up the time frame, go to the weekly. Does the weekly give you clarity? Sort of. We've got high, low, high, 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 low, high, high, and this is where we are currently. So until we break this low, we are still in an uptrend, believe it or not. However, let's go and look at it from a monthly perspective. Let's go up and see if there's anything else there. And suddenly it becomes a little bit clearer. I don't know if it does to you guys, but it does to me. We've got a strong rejection at a clear level of resistance, and we're a bit overextended the distance from the moving averages. So what could happen now? What could happen is a retracement down to here, and then a continuation up. Okay, this is also a bit of a bearish engulfing candle, and I want to see how the month closes. If it closes lower, if that candle closes lower, then it's closing heavily bearish. But if it manages to close back up, then we'll probably see a consolidation. But I'm just explaining why it's battling at this area, at that level. Okay, so that is looking good, but I would just keep an eye on that. Let's have a look at HK50. So HK50, I spoke about, this was one that's on my list that hasn't quite turned around yet. I like the look of it for the most part. It has definitely started to breach the bearish wall on this side. It has started to breach it, but I was looking for it to turn around and keep going. So it's still on my list to keep going to the upside. It hasn't shown enough yet. If I go down to the weekly, I was expecting, actually, I'm going to zoom in, but I was expecting this particular bullish candle to be the one. Okay, so I thought that this candle here would be entry above the high, stop loss below the low. It hasn't triggered, but that's what I was looking for. So we could see price coming down to here, or price coming into this area. So I'm going to be looking in this area to see if there's a bullishness that takes off. But it has all the other conditions of that look good for a basic reversal. Plus, it is a lagging index, which means that it's one of the last ones next to China's 50 that could be, turning bullish. So again, we don't really have the same. This is a similar thing. We definitely look at this. You can see the angle becoming less bearish as it goes. It's losing that selling momentum. It's got here now. Oops. Less bearish. There's actually a level, arguably, that is kind of like a double bottom. Just dip below that. We haven't really got that bullish momentum, but I'm looking to see this eventually start to turn around. But we're on a monthly time frame, so it's probably going to happen towards the end of the year. Nothing's really going to happen for now, but I just want to draw your attention to it. Okay, let's quickly lock off gold. So there's nothing really there that I would add anything to. Let's look at crude oil. So look at crude oil. get a sense of what's going on here. I'm not sure if you can see this, but we tend to have a little bit of a triangle forming over here. And so we're likely to have a breakout in any direction, but it does mean it's going to ping pong around for a while. And a very quick question. Obviously, there's been a lot of interesting news coming out of the US election, which is in November the 8th. And there's been a very recent turn of events where Kamala Harris is now the likely nominee for the Democrats. And the market response, not the market, well, the market response has been positive, but the human response is apparently amazing. How many of you are glad to see that the next president could potentially be a woman of color? Because I think it's really exciting. I think it's amazing if that could be the case. I think it's a very good thing. I'm curious how many of you think that that could be a really good thing for everyone else. Okay, so we've got this really nice wedge forming over here. So just to be aware, there's a little bit of sort of lack of direction on that. Brent is going to be the same. So Brent will offer, it's almost exactly the same pattern, but just occurring at a slightly different kind of angle over there. So, okay, a bit of a wedge forming there. So what does this mean? What kind of signals will we get on the WaveWriter? Likely to get very short moves. Let's see what the WaveWriter says about that. Let's look at that. You guys are very quiet. Nobody's saying anything. Hello? You can hear me? Hello? Hello? Just kidding. Okay, so it is, I think it's very exciting. Okay, let's have a look at this. So wait for that to top up. So the reason we want that is you want ideally the biggest currency in the world. You really want it to be, I don't think it's, Julian would be really good at assessing this, and Paul as well, but we forget how big a component of the markets the dollar is. It isn't just in the currency market, it's in the commodities market, it's in the world's biggest stock markets, it's in some of the biggest companies we know that employ millions of people around the world. So the dollar is so much more than just the currency market. It's just absolutely huge. Okay, so you can see the mixed signals here. We've got a green channel going up, but we've got red going down. We've got the mixed channel. So crude oil is really not worth trading until it breaks out of that tight range. Okay, it's not worth trading. When it does, when it breaks out of it, then there is likely to be a move in that direction, a one-to-one move. So let's just zoom out. Let's do this, and then let's just replot it. So let's kind of do it like this. So you kind of update it to the latest price action, because there's an angle here, but I'm going to keep it to the latest price action. And so wherever this breaks out, so let's just say hypothetically that I'll draw it instead. So let's go here. So let's just say that it decides to come down and it decides to break out here. Where it breaks out there, obviously what happens then is that then becomes your one-to-one. So the distance that it travels, from where it breaks out to there becomes a one-to-one move. So you get a one-to-one move. If it breaks out the bottom, then the distance left, from there to there would be the one-to-one move. So that kind of gives you where the next likely target is going to be. Another way of doing that is to mark these kind of major highs and lows here. So you mark that one and you mark down here. And then if it breaks out there, you know where it's going to go to, because those are going to be the next major levels that it goes to. Okay, so that is it. Let's have a look at gold. So gold. Now, gold is a tricky one. For the following reasons. Let's start on the monthly. What do we see on the monthly? I want you to describe it to me very quickly. How would you describe this price action here? What does it look like it is, what does it look like is going on? Give me some feedback on that one. Yeah. Should we jump in if it reverses with a breakout confirmation? Potentially, yes. Good. Okay, so the point is you guys are getting it. Yeah, you're getting it. The way that I would describe it, and it's just language. Each of us has our own language, so it's important that you choose your own words. It's up to you. So no, this is not a bad thing. But yes, there's exhaustion. We don't just have a single candle that took exhaustion. We have another one and an indecision candle and another one. So we have a huge amount of indecision so far. It's really bad. Exhaustion. Sorry, exhaustion is the word. Indecision is a good one as well, but exhaustion is a really good word as well. We've got a level over here. We've got another level over here. We had this breakout, and we've got a lot of exhaustion. So the question is, 4 months of exhaustion, but no retracement. So we could have a correction that does that. That would make sense. But because it hasn't happened yet, what it's actually telling you is you don't have enough sellers up here, but you have enough buyers down below. So the buyers are propping up from underneath. In other words, there's an appetite for it below a certain price level, but above the price level, there just isn't enough happening. And so what normally happens, and it's very important that I kind of stress this, what normally happens is eventually it has a bit of a correction. You get a bearish candle, and it would come down, probably back down to these levels, and then it would take a breather or a rest, and it would keep going. Normally that would be the case. The other alternative is that it doesn't come back down because there's so many buyers below here that it just doesn't ever come back down below that. It stays. So it stays, and the moving average ends up coming here, and it treads water, and then it takes off because the moving average is the average of price. And so that's what's going to happen eventually. What that means is that all the buyers will eventually start to build up underneath, and then it'll carry on up there. So we have the reason gold is tricky is because it's showing clear exhaustion on the monthly. But when you then go to the weekly, you have very clear consolidation. It's battling here a bit, but you've got a clear level range there. And so in other words, this could consolidate and then go. So the weekly is looking much more range bound and looks like it doesn't want to go down. And the monthly is looking overstretched and quite exhausted. So what it does tell me is that probably for now, it is going to stay where it is for the next week. I don't really expect much. I'll keep an eye on it, but you might even get another fail breakout. That could happen. But I would be very cautious with gold. It's clearly overextended, clearly exhausted, clearly in a range. It's just a lot of things that make this not necessarily a great trade. It doesn't mean, do we think gold's going to go up in the future? You could say yes and be right about it, but it's all about the trade. Do you get a good entry on that move? Do you get a good stop loss placement on that move? And you get good profit on that move? Even if you're right about the move, did you trade it properly? That's really what we kind of come down to. So just to be aware that that is what's going on. It's consolidating, it's in a range on the weekly, and it's overextended on the monthly. So it makes it very unpredictable. Silver. So silver is different. Silver's kind of done a little bit of a head and shoulders move here. So it's got a little bit of a head there and a right shoulder. So it looks, whoops, okay. So it doesn't draw well with that tool, but it looks effectively like that. When you look at it from a monthly perspective, you get a much clearer picture. You get what looks as though it's going to swing high, potentially going to come back down. So silver actually looks healthier overall. There is a level over here I pay attention to, just below that. But yeah, this is kind of so silver appears to be doing a little bit of a retracement, and therefore silver might be something that's worthwhile paying attention to. In this area, we could see it start to turn around and start to potentially set up to go long. Okay. So that silver's looking good. So let's go compare them. Let's go look at gold in the Wave Rider and then silver, and then we'll run through the currency pairs. All right, so those just ones that I'm cautious of. So gold, it is telling you to buy, essentially off that pivot, not off the 10 moving average, but off everything else that's more bullish. So I'm a little bit more cautious of that one. And silver, so I'm just cautious of those, and silver is a no. Okay, so that's it. That's just highlighting that. So what would I do? Well, if you want to trade gold, if I was going to trade gold, I might just reduce my risk on it. That's all. Just a little bit concerned about that one. All right, so let's run through the currency pairs. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by going through to the pairs that I quite like the look of, and then we can look at the others. But let's start off with dollar CAD. So dollar CAD is looking unusually bullish at the moment. Yes, it's got a strong level of resistance that it's coming up to, but it's looking nice uptrend here. When we go to the monthly, we have what appears to be a bullish triangle kind of forming in there, and this could lead to a breakout, and we kind of know where the breakout levels are. There's a bit of a level there, there's another one up there, but it looks as though it's building up to a bit of a breakout there. So when we go to the daily, it's overextended. So it's definitely overextended here. But look at that, just look at that beautiful behavior. Marching soldiers all in line. Look at these levels over here. So probably what we would get probably is a move down and up if that's going to happen. But it looks great. Look at that. Go to the 4 hour and you just get this beautiful trend. 1 hour even possibly having some nice, good trending opportunities possibly. But it is now, excuse me, at a location where it's overextended, showing some signs of exhaustion. So I think a bit of a correction makes a little bit of sense here, but it looks good. Let's compare that. So let's go look at dollar CAD on WaveRider. So WaveRider is bullish. I like the looks of this. So what I want to do is to say USD CAD, I think looks good. Bullish and WaveRider, but may need pullback. Should I say? Which word do you guys use more for retracements? Do you use retracement or pullback? Or what other word do you use that says I needed to pull back first? Pullback. Okay. Cool. But I wanted to explain to you why, and I also want you to be aware of this specific area, why it is clearly a level of resistance. And one thing I will tell you now is that until you break through a major level, don't convince yourself at this time it looks like it's going to break through until it breaks through. I've seen things look so bullish and then they just fail. They just fail. So you really want to wait until it breaks through. And sometimes it looks really bullish. This is building up to a pressure, but it could still go along for a bit before breaking out. But just be cautious about that one. Okay, let's look at the other pairs quickly as well. So I'm going to go through the CAD pairs. So we've got EuroCAD. Also look at that recent run. So you can see there's a big run there as well. And when we go to the weekly, so again, this also needs a pullback. Where should it pull back to? It should pull back to about here. That looks good. Could it pull back? Shallower pullback? Absolutely. It could pull back to there. So probably anywhere in this area. Could it pull back further? Yeah, it could probably pull back about here. Any of those would qualify. So if we throw on a Fibonacci from there all the way to the top, if it pulls back here, you've got a 382, a 50, and a 618. So just saying that all those areas qualify as pullbacks. A little bit of exhaustion coming here. Let's look at it from a weekly perspective. What do I like about this? I like that it really is testing these brand new highs that we've been in, going all the way back to 2023 or further back. Let's look at the monthly. So it's quite a key thing here. It's looking really good, but just be aware of those key levels. So now you've got two CAD pairs at major levels and are overextended. But I bet you they look good. So I bet you EuroCAD is also qualifying. Absolutely, just needs a pullback. Okay, then we have PoundCAD. So PoundCAD's also, you can see it's running out of steam, starting to consolidate here. It has, the difference is, I think, PoundCAD has broken out of some major levels here. Let's go and have a look at the monthly. Also got some really strong resistance. You can see kind of where it is, but it's managed to break through that. So PoundCAD also looking pretty good. Okay, also really looks quite nice over there. Breaking through. So we've got, the CAD pairs might be like the yen pairs, where they might provide us with some really good opportunities. But again, I would really have them pull back first. So let's look at PoundCAD. You know what to expect. PoundCAD also looking very good there as well. So we've got other CAD pairs. So we've got EuroCAD, GBP CAD. Okay, they all look good. Let's continue. So let's look at Aussie CAD. Now, recently, Aussie and Kiwi pairs have dropped a bit. So for some reason, look at Aussie dollar against US dollar, big move down. Kiwi dollar, big move down. So when you look at Aussie CAD, for example, big move down. Kiwi CAD, big move down. So both the Aussie and Kiwi pairs, and I don't know the answer, you guys might, but fundamentally, I don't know what happened there. But they obviously decided to get really weak for some reason. And so I'm very cautious with those. Okay, so Aussie CAD, Aussie Swissy as well, just straight down. I'm going to talk about the Swissy pairs in a moment. What else have we got? So we've got dollar CAD, pound CAD. We don't have Sing CAD. I don't have Sing CAD. And we have CAD Swissy. So let's look at CAD Swissy. So CAD Swissy not offering too much clarity at the moment. So CAD Swissy could be looking to keep going down. we could be looking for a continuation. So let's have a quick look at CAD Swissy on this and see if it's bearish. Okay, so CAD Swissy needs a pullback, but that's a really nice area for it to pull back to. We'll just do, I need a bright color that'll stand out. There we go. No. Okay, but we need a nice little pullback into that area and a continuation down. Looks good to me. So pull back into it. CAD Swissy looking short. CAD Swissy bearish. Wave Rider, if it's in brackets, it means it's a Wave Rider setup as well. Okay, so those are ones that I quite like the look of for some obvious reasons. Now let's go and have another look at some of the other pairs. Let's look at the yen pairs. Let's talk about the yen pairs. Dollar yen. So most of you should have come across the idea that we know the Bank of Japan wanted to intervene. They were talking about it forever. They had a very specific level, so they were looking for 150 was their target level. So they started wanting to interfere. At that point, it went to 160. Now we're seeing a bit of a reaction. What it appears as though we're seeing is a bit of a monthly retracement. We've got a swing high here. So we could see price wanting to pull back into either here and go up or possibly further. Okay, and then continue up from there. So possibly a little bit further. Cautious for now. Shorting it is probably better because we know that they don't really want it to keep going. We know the trend is to the upside, but it's very tricky. And here you can see we're testing a level. So where price is right now is testing a level of support and resistance. I'll get rid of that one. So we could possibly, if the market is still bullish, we could see a bullish setup this week, which means that the market will turn around and then we could see it head back up to the top of the range. That could happen. I would like to see a deeper retracement. I'd like to see it sort of heading back down a little bit further, but the fact of the matter is we could see this happening. So a little bit of caution, be prepared that you could see sell setups on Wave Rider possibly, and then it could turn around. So, but I think that in the longer run, we do know the Bank of Japan wants it to come down. So there's definitely a fundamental force behind it, but it doesn't guarantee anything. It could go on for, a few more months while they do that. So something to be aware of. So let's have a look at all of them, and then let's look in the Wave Rider, see what Wave Rider is saying. So Euro Yen, starting that weekly retracement, monthly, look at that potential bearish engulfing candle, could lead to a pullback down towards this area here if we get that. Let's look at Pound Yen. So Pound Yen very bullish, pulling back in. Again, the weekly looks bullish. If I saw this on any other time frame, I'd be like, that is a buy setup. It's going to turn around. Not a buy setup, but I'd wait for a bullish candle and then wait for it to turn around. But then from a monthly perspective, it's definitely overextended, far away from the moving averages, and it has a bearish engulfing candle at this time. So this could lead to a retracement. Then we've got Aussie Yen, without a doubt, big, massive bearish engulfing candle. Makes way more sense to me. We're going to see this turn around. So the weakest bunches would be the Aussie Yen and Kiwi Yen pairs for shorting opportunities because clearly the Aussie and the Kiwi are very weak. Kiwi Yen as well. Look at that massive correction, absolutely huge. To me, it seems like that's more of a monthly reversal setting there. Okay, so something to think about. There's definitely risk in it. I wouldn't be buying just yet. I'd either be waiting to see how the next week turns around, or I would be taking the trade short, but with, just being aware that we're not quite in a full-on reverse trend. So let's have a look and see how the markets are looking at this. So what does dollar yen look like on this? Let's just wait for that. Just there we go. Right. So we have a green channel and we have the red down. So it's not there yet. In other words, it's not there yet. It's waiting for that weekly correction. So basically, the Wave Rider is saying be cautious. Okay, so cautiously bearish is the way that I would do it. JPY charts, cautiously bearish. Just to be aware, I want you guys to understand why the Wave Rider is not producing signals on those ones. Okay, it's likely that if it does start to reverse, you'll start to get a green pivot here, and then you'll start getting buy signals. but if it continues down, the channel will eventually rotate. It's very cool. Okay, so that leaves us, that's all the yen pairs. Now let's go through all the Swissy pairs. So for me, we'll do it over here. I was looking for a reversal. So it's very rare. This is sort of my own analysis, my own strategy, my own stuff. It's very rare for me for this to happen. It's first time it's happened in years. But long story short, these charts are showing signs of wanting to reverse. So what does that mean? It means they're stuck underneath the 50-period moving average. They can't get above it. Now they're above it. Now they're trying to change direction. You've also got the 50 above, 20 below. Now you've got the 20 above, 50 below. You've clearly got a bullish MACD, which is climbing higher and higher. You've got a whole lot of things which show signs of reversal. But, and I was looking for this to be the perfect entry. So this should have been at least a 3-to-1. It triggered and reversed and stopped out. That's so rare. And that's not just the higher time frame, the weekly, but it would provide setups on the daily. So I'm looking to see what happens this week. I've never really seen this be this wrong. It usually is almost a sure thing it's going to turn around, but it can happen. Obviously, anything can happen. But this week, I'm very cautious on the Swissy pairs. They are all bearish, but they're also showing lots of signs of reversing. So what could be happening is that we get some mixed signals. So be very cautious on the Swissy pairs. You're probably getting some bearish signals, some bearish wave rider, but they also are showing on higher time frames, showing, especially the weekly, are showing signs of potential change in trend. So let me show you a few more. So we go Euro Swissy, go to the weekly, and again, we had this stuck underneath that 50-period moving average, broke above it, bounced above it again, but keeps just failing and just keeps breaking below that. We've also got trending higher MACD. So a lot of this is showing an attempt. The market is trying to turn around, but it isn't succeeding. We've got pound Swissy as well, which is almost even more obvious, this one as well. So here you've got levels of support where we are over there. Price is now above that 50-period moving average. It's also trying to find some support in these areas, so there's a double bounce there. Then it goes up. Now it's range bound, but we've got the 50 and 20 and the MACD bullish. Lots of things that just look really bullish. So I'm extra cautious on this because it's trying to move into an uptrend and it's failing, and now it looks bearish. So that's the case for every single one of the Swissy pairs. So what I want to do now is see how the wave rider is responding to that. So what is wave rider telling me, for example, about dollar Swissy? It's saying bearish. Now the reason the wave rider is probably the one that you want to listen to is that I'm looking at stuff in the weekly, and that could take months to turn around. The wave rider is really focused on what's happening right now. And right now it's saying sell, and to be fair, the price action is supporting that. The price action is not supporting the kind of bullish reversal thing that I would expect it to see. But I wanted to put it on your list that if you find you take a few Swissy trades and the market's kind of reverse on you, that could be the reason why, is the longer term is trying to turn around. And this one is a lot more tricky. So let's look. But again, Aussie Swissy pairs and QE Swissy pairs should be the weakest of the bunch, meaning that if I was going to take trades with them, I would trade the weakest ones, which is any of the Aussie pairs. And that probably goes for Aussie yen and Kiwi yen as well. So let's have a look at Euro Swissy. Is giving me, again, still looking like it is quite bearish, and pound Swissy. See, pound Swissy starting to shift, looks a little bit different now. Looks a little bit different. Pound Swissy is the strongest of the bunch, and Aussie and Kiwi are the weakest of the bunch. So I wanted to explain all the Swissy pairs to you. So now what we're going to do, because we're almost done, a couple more minutes and we're done, is I want to do a very quick run through of Euro pairs, pound pairs, Aussie pairs, Kiwi pairs, and just see. So all we're going to do here is look at Euro pairs. So if we go on, look at Euro dollar. So it's on top of the moving averages. We have definitely got that wedge forming here as well. So the wedge that we see in crude oil is also forming here as well. So confusion. Euro yen is looking bullish with a big correction. Euro Aussie going down, a bit of a bull flag. So this makes sense. We've got that breaking that bull flag. So Euro Aussie could be good for buys. So let's have a look at Euro Aussie for wave rider to go long. Okay, starting to turn around. So this is going to be something I would expect Euro Aussie, not ready yet, but looking nice and bullish. And Euro CAD looking nice and bullish. So Euro CAD should be a wave rider, but with that level of resistance, just to be aware of it. Okay, so just to show you that. Then we've got Euro Swissy trying to turn around, no clear signal, and Euro bud. So just the key thing about this, by the way, is that the Euro is showing bullish, bearish, sideways, wedge. It's showing every different kind of pattern. So the euro doesn't really have a fixed direction right now. It's just doing whatever happens with the other pair. Euro Kiwi could also be looking nice. Moves to the upside. Euro Kiwi could be looking very good. Okay, just check for resistance levels, but Euro Kiwi I think could be a really good one. Let's see what Euro Kiwi looks like on the Wave Rider. Woof, definitely overextended. It looks great. So Euro Kiwi, I really like the look of that. Bullish. Wave Rider needs pullback for sure, which you might not get this week. You might not, but it looks great. Euro Sing, what happens with Euro Sing? Tight consolidation, it'll break out at some point. Okay, so you can just see the euro has different trends going on in different charts, right? Let's look at all the GBP pairs. So pound is looking a little bit stronger. So it's got sort of rising those, it's broken through resistance here. Generally is looking more bullish, it's pulling back, could be pulling back a little bit to test these levels before turning around. Then you've got pound pairs. So pound yen, also bullish, pulling back. Pound Swissy, pound Aussie, very nice and bullish. The pound Aussie should be on the list, I think. Let's just check out pound Aussie on Wave Rider. Also overextended, but on the list. Okay, pound Aussie and pound Kiwi, bullish. Wave Rider needs pullback. They all look good. They look great. Pound CAD, also bullish. Look at that, pound CAD, great. You've got those. Okay, so the GBP pairs. Now let's very quickly look at the Aussie and then the Kiwi and we're done. So Aussie dollar, big move to the downside, overcorrection, needs to pull back a little bit. Then we've got Aussie yen, also overcorrection, needs to pull back. So this week, a pullback on the Aussie pairs would actually make sense. Aussie CAD, pullback, Aussie Swissy, they're all basically bearish but need to retrace. Now, why hasn't Aussie Kiwi moved? The reason Aussie Kiwi hasn't moved at all is because Kiwi is also bearish. So we got Kiwi, big move down, overextended. Kiwi yen, ridiculous. Look at this, just absolutely insane, this move. Nearly 1,000 pips, like 900 odd pips, very big for all the moves that happen there. And Kiwi Swissy, plus you got Kiwi CAD overextended and Kiwi Swissy overextended. So Aussie and Kiwi, weakest pairs, good for shorting opportunities, but definitely overextended now, definitely due for a pullback for sure, which means any pair with an Aussie or Kiwi should be waiting for some form of a pullback, but should be on the list for setups this week and next week. They look really good. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, was that good? Did you find that instructive? Did you find that useful? I really hope you did. And there is the watch list for this week. And hopefully you learned something from this process as well. I really hope so. Okay, cool. I'm going to let you go now. I want to say thank you. I really enjoyed this, really enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one whenever I get to do that. And I wish you all the best in your trading, and obviously best of luck to you and your folks and family and loved ones. And I'll see you soon. All right, guys. Thank you very much.